Well, this would have been a much better day to walk to Ely. Wouldn't have been nearly so windy. I was thinking about stuff. And that random number generator circuit. Another thing you could do with those is you could define a protocol where two people connect their own implementations of a device like that together with a very simple adapter and generate a shared key which well, it would at least be hard to influence the numbers in a meaningful way. You basically each independently generate a stream which you then OR together and read the output. So the interconnect is something very simple. You could even build the OR device out of a pair of transistors, a few transistors, or junction FETs or whatever people use. Fast switching transistors. And you do it in a Faraday cage and write them out onto SDHC cards, is that what they're called? The low speed interface for those is pretty simple too. I don't know if you can implement it entirely in hardware, or that might be quite a complicated circuit, but maybe not. I looked at it once, it didn't look much more complicated than I2C. What else was I thinking about? Oh yeah, I found a really nice example of accounting using, in this it was an example that was specific to Etherium. They have a language called Solidity. I think that's what they use. Or is it another one? Anyway, it was an example of some quite complicated, well, to me they seemed complicated, contracts. One was for one was just for exchange, and the other, I think, was kind of gift card type thing where you issue a gift card and you sell it to someone, and then if it isn't used, I guess the balance is credited to the issuer. Is that how gift cards work? I don't think the person who gives the gift card gets any credit if the other person just doesn't use it. I think that's the idea, so it makes for a slightly more complicated contract. But you can implement that in... It wasn't very very many lines of code. Oh yes, the other thing I was thinking of was this business about disk space and stuff. The trouble you've got is when you have a disk drive, it's got all this blank space on it, which remains blank space for presumably half the life of the drive, or half of it is blank space. I mean, it just sits there doing nothing. And eventually, if the drive fills up, you've got to blank off all that stuff. You've got to decide whether you want to keep it or throw it away. Wouldn't it be much better if the thing just worked like a rolling system and said, oh look, we need to start reclaiming space. Let's take the oldest or the least frequently used or something. Or you work another protocol where you take where each time something's used, you increase its priority so that you have your files that you use a lot in fast storage, and your other files drift off into slower and slower storage. So you're old, eventually you're storing really very little used stuff on ancient disks. And if they have questionable reliability, you can arrange for it to be stored on an array of them, or on multiple locations on these ancient disks. But you don't need to build them all into a synchronized RAID array underneath a Linux device driver, because then you just have this space that you're just building a new virtual disk drive out of physical drives, and you're putting a file system on it, and then you're into the space management thing again. I don't understand why these layers are needed. And can't the Etherium state, the Etherium, and they consciously talk about this. They have a thing they call the world state and the world machine. So why can't I sell the space on my 1 terabyte drive that I don't use, that's sitting in my house? Well, I'll tell you why, because I can't even use it myself, because it's got a file system on it that some of the operating systems I use can't access, because I was stupid and I didn't realize. But still, now I've got gigabytes of data on a file system that I don't have a big enough space anywhere else to put that data. So I'm stuck until I get another disk with even more space. I can't rebuild the file system without copying all the data off it. Because it's unreasonable to expect to do that, just say, oh please, can you morph this into a, can you morph this Windows file system into a an ext4 file system, please. block by block. You could write the program to do it, but it'd be a lot of work. But really, who cares? Who cares what the file system is? This guy DJ Ware did a video, I saw the thumbnail, trying to ask people what should the next Linux file system be. There shouldn't be a Linux file system. Why is it like this? That's not what people want. It's not what people need. They need stuff that works and isn't some kind of hoop that you can display your technical prowess by jumping through. It should just work. It's possible to make software that just works, I'm sure.